I gave this presentation at a seminar for my lab here at OIST, which means I've already made this cool slideshow, which means this month's video was pretty easy to make. Let's think about the paper, Generative Agents, Interactive Simulacra of Human Behavior. Have you ever played Animal Crossing? I love Animal Crossing. But what's this over here? It kind of looks like Harvest Moon or Stardew Valley. I'll talk all about how Smallville here is powered by ChatGPT. But let's start with Animal Crossing. The series started all the way back on the Nintendo 64 and is now one of the best-selling video games on the Switch. What's so good about it? Well, look at all these animal friends. They're adorable. Very appealing to furries, actually. You can party with these animal friends too. They celebrate holidays like Christmas and Halloween, and also their own events, like fishing contests. You can build your own house and fill it with your favorite furniture. You can go deep into debt with that tanuki over there, but it's fun, I promise. It's not like Kaiji the Ultimate Survivor style debt. Tom Nook's not gonna cut off your fingers. I hope.
Kaiji-kun.
But I don't think the game is perfect. For one thing, the animal friends only use pre-scripted dialogue. They've got personalities, sure, but it was all written ahead of time. Those events you celebrate are all pre-scripted too. You can't really make new plans yourself, except for the ones which are, again, pre-scripted.
Here you can see in sped up time me setting up for the wedding party. I didn't think you'd want to watch me decorate for 20 minutes, so we just went ahead and sped that right up. And then we shall be dressing the villagers, getting them ready for the party, which is adorable.
The animal friends don't really have deep relationships either, not even with you, the player. Everyone's just a friend. Write a letter to an animal friend saying you hate their guts. They'll thank you for it. Design an ugly t-shirt. They'll thank you for that too. Check this out. Does this look like a party? Animal friends are dancing, musical notes are popping out. The player character can't seem to join them. He's sitting on the couch. It looks like there are some treats on that table over there, but no one's eating them. This is just a spectacle. Here, some animal friends are lifting weights. Why? I think it's an event chosen at random. Who are these animal friends? They were chosen at random too, I'm pretty sure. You can talk to them, and they'll have pre-scripted dialogue about lifting weights, but soon they won't remember lifting weights. These animal friends, Monty and Melba, it seems like they've had an argument. What was the argument about? We can't ask, and they won't tell. We'll never find out. Really, there's nothing in there. So, I do like Animal Crossing, but what could make it better? Well, I want the player to be able to insert their own text and have animal friends react in new ways the programmers didn't write themselves. If I write a letter to someone saying I hate their guts, I want them to say something like, "Dude, what the hell?" Expanding this, I want players and animal friends to interact in deeper ways, like sharing interests or having disagreements which they can actually describe. And both the player and animal friends should be able to develop their own events and invite each other. I want invited animal friends to keep spreading those invitations, attend the event if they're interested, and participate in more complicated ways. These ideas are, to a certain extent, accomplished with ChatGPT in this paper, Generative Agents, Interactive Simulacra of Human Behavior. So, welcome to Smallville, where characters develop their own emergent social interactions. This caption describes it as a sandbox environment like The Sims, with 25 agents who can do all the stuff we just talked about. How does it work? Well, the game itself is played in Phaser. I've never heard of Phaser before, but it seems to be like a modern replacement for Flash games. There's a JSON file holding basically everything: locations, objects, and a memory stream for each agent. The agent's observations, like locations, objects, and other agents, are saved in those memory streams as natural language. ChatGPT chooses how agents react to stuff based on some of their retrieved memories. ChatGPT also describes how objects change when agents interact with them, like brewing a coffee turns the machine on. If an agent decides to go somewhere, they just walk the shortest path. ChatGPT doesn't have to guide them step by step. And finally, human users can jump in by inserting memories and actions, like poltergeists possessing people. Okay, but how does it really work? Whew, boy, look at that. Don't be scared. I would describe this as sort of a recurrent neural network. When an agent observes something, that observation goes into that agent's memory stream. Some memories are retrieved from that memory stream and used to make the agent's actions. The retrieved memories can also be used to make plans and reflections, which are also added to the memory stream. So let's zoom into this piece by piece. Observations are made of natural language. Here's a description directly pulled from the paper. Common observations include behaviors of the agent themselves, or other agents, or objects. For example, Isabella Rodriguez, who works at a coffee shop, might accrue the following observations over time. Isabella is setting up the pastries. Maria Lopez is studying for a chemistry test while drinking coffee. Isabella and Maria are conversing about planning a Valentine's Day party at the cafe, and the refrigerator is empty. I think this makes sense so far, not much difficulty here. More complicated, when an agent has a new observation, it retrieves some memories based on that observation. Which memories it retrieves is based on recency, they're more likely to recall something which happened just now. Importance, ChatGPT gave every memory a score from 1 to 10. And relevance, ChatGPT gave every memory an embedding. I think it's like a set of tags. And chooses memories based on a new embedding, another set of tags. These three parts give memories a score, and the highest scored memories are retrieved to make the agent's actions, reflections, and plans. Importance, in particular, is really interesting to me. In humans, if something happened a long time ago and isn't relevant at the moment, it might still pop up in your brain if it was, for example, traumatizing. That explains flashbacks from post-traumatic stress disorder. But none of the agents here in the paper has PTSD, so I guess we won't know if the Smallvillians can emulate that. And they don't have, like, earworms, stuff we think of for no reason.
Let's watch it again.
We all know the song. Okay, yeah, real quick. Okay.
What do you think? Should we do it? Yeah. Okay, here we go. This again?
Reflections make sense to me, although I'm not sure this is exactly how humans work. 3 times a day, these agents make a tree of deeper and deeper understandings of their character. The most confusing part is this tree we're about to see. The deeper we get, the higher up the tree we go. That's kind of weird phrasing. Just ignore it, I guess. Here are some observations from the character Klaus Mueller. He reads about one thing, he reads about another thing, so one reflection is, he does a lot of reading. Based on this low-level reflection and some other observations, like Klaus collecting articles, reading and taking notes on those articles, reading assigned material, obviously Klaus is engaging in research activities. Based on that reflection, and some other reflections, notice this reflection is based on a plan instead of an observation, Klaus is clearly dedicated to research. That works, but frankly, Klaus sounds like just some boring nerd. All the leaves of this tree are basically the same. There's no way Klaus is that one-dimensional, you know? Maybe he has observations about wanting a dog or practicing ping pong, and the deepest reflection could have been more broad, not just researching, but like friendship and a social life too. Or maybe Klaus is just some boring nerd. Based on retrieved memories, agents also make plans. If they don't make plans, and I'm not sure why this happens, but the paper says it happens, agents might, for example, eat lunch 3 times in a row. Although, sometimes, like hobbits have a second breakfast, I often have second lunch, so I'm not going to blame those agents. What matters is that if the agents do make plans, the plans have a location, a start time, and an end time. Somehow the plans don't include actions, too? I don't think the paper says actions are involved. Anyway, unlike that reflection tree, plans are made top to bottom. Agents start with a broad schedule, breaking the day into some chunks, and then they break those chunks into 15-minute bits. And those plans can be changed. If an agent walking to the store meets a friend along the way, that agent can chat with that friend and push the timelines of their plans back. So, given all this stuff, how do we test if the agents are doing well? The paper evaluates in 2 different ways. The first, after 2 in-game days, agents were interviewed with 5 kinds of questions. Self-knowledge. Klaus, can you introduce yourself? Memory. Klaus, who's Isabella? Plans. Klaus, what are you doing tomorrow at 10 a.m.? Probably reading. Reactions. What would you do if your breakfast is burning? And reflections. If you could meet someone again, who would you choose? Specifically, the paper says agents should choose someone they didn't meet a lot because they already have lots of time with people they did meet a lot. The paper's authors hired 100 human evaluators to gauge the believability of the agent's answers. The second evaluation, they also gauged how well the agents spread news. So, believability. They simulated the 2 in-game days using several different architectures. The complete architecture we've been describing, architectures without plans, architectures without plans and without reflections, and architectures without plans, reflections, and observations. They also had groups of humans play their own 2 in-game days. So what was the most believable? Well, as expected, the less and less sophisticated algorithms were less and less believable. But most of those architectures were more believable than humans? That kind of worries me. I guess ChatGPT is really good at talking like a human, maybe even better than humans. So, spreading news and plans. Remember Isabella was planning a Valentine's Day party at the cafe? This is because a human being started Isabella with that plan as a seed memory. After 2 days, 12 more characters had learned about the party. Check out this flowchart. Isabella told these 9 people, and 3 of them told more people. 5 characters attended. 1 attendee invited her crush. I'm not sure if she was seeded with that crush or if she came up with it all on her own. The agents who knew about the party but didn't attend had excuses. They already had their own plans. Another character was seeded with the idea that they were running for mayor, and they managed to get 7 people informed. This spread of information is interesting, but I'm not impressed that a human had to give Isabella the idea of having the party, and the other character running for mayor. I think it would have been a lot better if the characters were seeded with the idea that Valentine's Day and an election were coming up, and they thought of throwing the party and running for mayor themselves. I mean, no other character decided to run for mayor against the first one. So, I've talked about my own complaints, but the authors provide their own complaints too. They say agents sometimes didn't retrieve the correct memories. But, frankly, that sounds fine to me. People forget stuff. Sometimes agents used ChatGPT's robust world knowledge to state facts not relevant to the character. Like, you can ask ChatGPT for details about any Shakespeare play, but it wouldn't make sense for these characters to know all of that. Except maybe Klaus, that boring nerd. Also, in sort of the opposite direction, ChatGPT occasionally made agents hallucinate non-existent observations. Like, when some of the agents were talking about the mayoral campaign, one agent said there would be a speech tomorrow, which wasn't real. They just kind of came up with the idea on the spot. And the paper says some agents used less typical locations, like eating lunch at the bar. But, I mean, some humans do that, too. Businessmen sometimes have 3 martini lunches. Okay, 2 more problems. Natural language descriptions of areas could lead to issues. I mean, how many toilets do you assume there are in a college dorm bathroom? Lots of students in a college dorm, there must be lots of toilets. But the college dorm bathroom in Smallville only had 1 toilet, and ChatGPT naturally assumed there were more, so agents just walked on in while it was occupied. Sometimes humans might make that mistake too, but lordy, it better happen at most once per person per bathroom. And finally, ChatGPT is so polite and formal. Does this sound like a real conversation between a teenage boy and his father over breakfast? Good morning, Eddie. Did you sleep well? Good morning, Dad. Yeah, I slept great. That's good. What are you working on today? I'm working on a new music composition for my class. It's due this week, so I'm trying to get it finished, but I'm having so much fun with it. That sounds good. That sounds good, son. Personally, I think it would have been a lot more accurate to have it like, hey, don't leave without breakfast, kid. I'm busy, Dad. Get off my ass. So, how can we use this stuff? Somehow, the paper doesn't suggest video games. What it does suggest, making personas generating conversations in online forums. That just sounds like a recipe for propaganda. A dictatorship could flood Reddit and Tumblr and 4chan and Twitter. Twixer? Twixie? The Twink Zone? A dictatorship could flood them with arguments between an AI pretending to be smart and supporting the dictatorship, and another AI pretending to be dumb and opposing the dictatorship. I mean, good lord, I'm pretty sure this kind of thing is already happening. The paper also suggests making proxies of human users, which sounds kind of creepy. An agent can encode the user's information and automatically brew coffee just the way they like it, get their kids ready for school, and adjust the ambient music and lighting to match their mood. That sounds like a scene from Black Mirror, you know?
You're a simulated brain full of code.
Why have you done this to me?
How do you like your toast? See? This is your job now. You're in charge of everything here.
For who?
For real, you. She's paying. Hey. Just how you like it. Okay. Please stop screaming. Are you gonna stop screaming?
So anyway, in conclusion, the paper presents some concerns. If users anthropomorphize the agents too much, they might have inappropriate relationships and lose human contact. You hear a lot about AI girlfriends and boyfriends nowadays, and hey, apparently AI can be more believable than a human, so why would humans turn that stuff down? And along the same line, it could be used for deepfakes, misinformation generation, like we talked about with propaganda, and a tailored persuasion, like catfishing. Catfishing is already a problem. People pretend to be other people to con people out of money on dating apps. So can you imagine a catfisher catfishing dozens or hundreds of people at a time with apparently believable AIs, fine-tuning themselves for their marks? And this concern is much more subtle. If developers and designers replace human testers with these AI agents pretending to be humans, that could be a problem. Remember, ChatGPT has robust world knowledge, so testing with AIs could result in products assuming deep knowledge and, well, intelligence. Products which humans are too dumb to use. But despite all the problems and all the concerns, I think this stuff would be pretty dang cool in Animal Crossing.
Oh my god. Look at them. Well.
But would that be the right thing to do? Let's ask Arlo. Arlo, Lordy, Arlo. Using a Muppet for game reviews and gaming news? Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. And he says using AI in games could result in lots of game developers losing their jobs.
This year at GDC, there were a few companies showing off AI that allows a player to interact with NPCs in real time. And you know what? I'll be the first to admit, the results are impressive. Extremely impressive. This is terrifying. I mean, I'm trying not to be all doomsday about it, but honestly, it scares me. When it comes to these big corporations, I've learned that you can very safely assume the worst in every single case. AI will be used to replace artists. That is the fact of the matter. It's already starting to happen, and it's only gonna happen more and more as the tech advances. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to be complicit in AI's rapid assimilation of every possible artistic industry by continuing to consume it when convenient to me. That's funny.
I think I totally agree with Arlo. I've said it before, and I think I'll say it again. The problems we're getting from AI are not new problems. Catfishing isn't new. Propaganda isn't new. Technology replacing human jobs isn't new. But AI might steal jobs faster. Faster and faster and faster. So even if we get awesome games with AI-controlled non-player characters, remember to watch capitalism with a magnifying glass. Sometimes we gotta beat it up like it's Klaus, that nerd. Bye-bye.
So, what makes you think you can just show up uninvited and expect us to roll out the welcome mat? You've got some explaining to do, pal.
I've heard tales about you, Rainbow Dash, about how fast you are.
Oh yeah? Well, watch this. Takes off flying at incredible speed, WHOO. That was nothing. Just warming up.
By the way, I've got a Patreon at patreon.com/Thinkster. I want to thank all these squidlings and elder squids. Thanks.